Hello, everybody. This is Still Rose's podcast. This podcast was created for women by women to elevate women's voices. Welcome to season 4. Yes, that's right. Still Rose's podcast has been around for 4 seasons now, with the first episode launching, I believe, in 2022. So very, very proud of this 4-season set that is happening. It's been quite the journey. For those of you who have been with me since the beginning, you can hear the difference in the episodes. So let's dive right in. I took my little break over the holidays, and as usual, I always like to kind of refresh, reset, see what I want to focus on and how we're going to pivot for the following season. This year, we are leaning more into individual episodes. You will find some guest episodes happening here and there. Specifically, a friend of mine is going to be featured monthly on the podcast to share her story and her experience with a child with rare disease. If you want to catch some of the initial episodes with her name is Kara. It was the last 2 episodes in December that aired was the initial story for Kara's story with her son, Nolan. Nolan has a very rare disease, KCNQ2. And unfortunately, it has impacted his whole quality of life. As of now, treatment is available for him. However, financially, it is very much out of reach. And this is one of those scenarios that is not covered by health insurance. So Kara is going to be coming on to share her story monthly. I am working with her, as well as many others who want to help to try to generate donations and funds. So for every episode in 2026, you are going to see the link at the bottom of the episode where you're able to donate funds to help support Kara's family to maybe get the treatment for Nolan that he needs. If this treatment doesn't come, I get emotional every time I talk about this. If this treatment doesn't come, this could mean a downfall, is the best way I can say it. And I think you all understand what I'm saying. So it's incredibly important. Every day that Nolan takes a breath is a miracle. I've personally met him. The light generating from this young person, this little 7-year-old, is phenomenal. So help me, help them. Let's help each other. This is one of those calls to action that I deeply, deeply care about. And I would love even if you're only donating $5 at this point, whatever we can do to help move things along is really what I'm trying to help here. So on that note, moving right along, I hope everyone had a great holiday season. This holiday season, usually I talk a lot about the sales and things that I was able to accomplish via all the Black Friday sales. If you're listening in the United States, we have or outside the US, it's called Black Friday. So basically it's the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is another holiday we celebrate here. And usually there's all these really great sales, like phenomenal sales. However, this year didn't happen. So I found myself and many other people turning to alternative means of purchasing gifts for our kids, including stores like Five Below, because to be perfectly frank, people couldn't afford the prices that were in Walmart and, Target and Amazon even. The sales just were not there. They were not hitting it. And as much as our leadership here in the US would love to say the economy is getting better, prices are lowering, it's happening, Americans are in good shape, we are in SHIT shape. That's where we're at. And I'm speaking from the middle class household here. I am not speaking from the well-off. What they do is their business. I'm talking about regular, everyday Americans just trying to get by. And then everybody else who's on minimum wage, Lord knows, I don't know how anyone's doing it these days. I really don't. So I hope things do take a turn for the better. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, as I'm sure many others are as well. Holidays were good, though. We did get the flu, which apparently was rampant in the U.S. this year, but not horrible. Now, on that note of the flu, this is actually leading into something that I've talked about, right? I kind of learned about last year, and I feel like an idiot that I didn't know this sooner. Now, when you're sick with something like the fever, or in general, when you're ill and you have, not sick with the fever, but when you have an illness that induces a fever, the fever is your body burning the illness out of your system, right? So hold on one second. Does fever burn? So the fever is, yes, when you have a fever, sorry, I wanted to Google that because I didn't want to say something that I wasn't researching. I like to fact check myself even. When you have a fever, it's the warming up of your body's natural response to fight a virus. So think about it like a fire alarm that goes off when there's a sign of smoke. The fever starts low grade and then it goes higher and higher when it's working really hard to burn out the virus. Now, when my kids were really little, fever came, Tylenol. Now we all know the detriment of using Tylenol at this point. So I kick myself every single day for turning to Tylenol. My kids are older now, and when they were little, I never let them suffer with a fever. Always gave them medicine. Didn't want to hear them suffer. I wanted them to be able to sleep. They'd be miserable for like a week or two with these effects, right? Because I was consistently giving them medicine to reduce the fever. Unknowingly, I was extending the illness. Because the school of thought is, let me go back to my other source of information here. The school of thought is that if you take fever-reducing medicine, then that means you are disabling your body's response to the virus that is trying to burn out of its system, thus making the illness take longer to exit your body. I came across this information last year when I was sick, and I either was sick or was about to be sick. And I remember distinctly thinking to myself, okay, I'm not going to take any medicine. I'm going to just suffer and sweat it out for the night. And then hopefully I'll be okay. I think it might have been last year when my whole family got the stomach virus. It was a nightmare right around Christmas too. Anyway, so I came upon this information last year. So we've applied it a few times. Personally, I've applied it a couple of times. The kids, they were still little when I figured this out. So I hadn't really put it to them. So this year, Christmas comes. It's the week of Christmas. One of my girls goes down with a fever. She's sick. So I'm monitoring her. I test her for flu and for COVID just to make sure that, it's nothing major. Both came up negative. And so I know we're just burning through something. And even if it's the flu or COVID, you still have to burn through it. It is what it is. Unfortunately, this is where we're at. You can get your flu shot. You can get your COVID shot. You can get any kind of vaccine you want. But vaccines are not a cure, and they are not 100% barrier. Vaccines are meant to make sure your body has been exposed to the virus and thus already has some immunity to it. But it doesn't mean you're immune. It just means that when you get it, you won't get as sick. That's all it means. And it's somewhere out there in the world. As soon as people leave their homes, this becomes a confusing concept. But that is the concept. So my daughter gets sick, and my immediate response was, let's hold out. So for the whole day, I'm just watching her low-grade fever. She's really droopy. She's just laying on the couch. She's not herself. She doesn't want to eat. She's telling me her stomach hurts. Yes, this all makes sense. So I go to her and I say, listen, you have two options here. Now, my daughter's 8. I should probably say that so you can understand how this might actually seem a little crazy to do to an 8-year-old, but my kids we're very open with them. If you heard me talk about my parenting methods on other episodes, we're very open with the kids. We give them the straight, like we shoot it straight. We do not sugarcoat. We give them the facts and they know it. So I go to my daughter and I say, listen, these are your options here. We can either give you medicine and it will make you feel better, but then you're going to be sick for longer, or you're going to just gut it out and let the fever burn it out. And I explained what the fever was going to be doing. And I do want to read from this before I give you what happened. So I did Google it to make sure I was giving you guys the right information. So the National Library of Medicine, there's an article here, fever, suppress, or let it ride. There are 2 basic fields of thought. Fever should be suppressed because its metabolic costs outweigh its potential physiological benefit in an already stressed host. Or the fever is a protective, adaptive response that should be allowed to run its course under most circumstances. Now, that is really the rub. You have to decide, is it more beneficial to let it run or and is that safe? Or is it completely unsafe and we need to give medicine? When their kids are very little, you can't let it run. You cannot let their fever get past 101 really, because it could induce seizures even in children now. My kids now, their fever hit 102. I watched it. I waited and I watched it. And if it went a little bit above, I was going to give Tylenol. It was going to happen. It dropped. Each time it dropped, it would hit its peak and then it would come back down. I would give them water, cold compresses, have them take showers. I would keep them cool, but I let them ride it out. Those are the 2 schools of thought. You want to take this with you as a parent, you as an individual. What is safe to do? I am not a medical professional. I am just giving you my opinion as a mother. So I proposed to Genevieve, or my daughter Genevieve, what do you want to do? And she looks me in the face and says, Mommy, I'm going to try to gut this out. And I said, all right, honey, let's get you some fluids. Let's get you water. You have to keep drinking your cold water. Make sure you're hydrated. We kept it going. She did not take Tylenol once during the time that she was sick. She was only sick for 2 days with the flu. Very proud that this is what happened. Her sister got sick the day after she started. That's a given. They share a room. I proposed the same options to her. She got it out. Not as tough as the other one, but she did. She made it. Again, 2 days. They had flu A, which we went and verified at the urgent care clinic. Flu A, 2 days, they were done. Now, in addition to fluids in general, I also make cold press at home, nutrient dense. Our favorite flavor thus far is, and this was by design, that I made sure I made extra the week that everybody was sick. It included kale, pineapple, and apples. If you look up the health benefits of those 3 combined, you will understand how significant that was to the healing of my twins. The other significance is myself, my husband, my mother, and my son. None of us were wearing masks. We were all exposed to flu A. I pressed the cold press juice on everybody. Everyone every single day was drinking 2-3 glasses of cold press. I was in the kitchen every day making bottles and bottles of cold press juice, making sure that everyone had that. And I was making immunity tea, making sure that I had the skin of the pineapple, ginger, and I forget what manuka honey. Threw everything into a pot with hibiscus as well. Threw everything into a pot, let that boil. We drank that all week. Not one other person got sick, just the twins. This, to me, was a miracle. This was huge. I was nervous about my mother getting sick. I was nervous about me getting sick. Everyone else getting sick doesn't make me as nervous. I can care for them. But if I get sick, that's a bad thing. Because while my husband is the head of this household, I am absolutely the commander of the ship. And so it can't operate without me. Can't happen. So the big thing here, the big takeaway is, if it's possible and if it's safe to ride out an illness and let the fever burn through your system as it is meant to do naturally, that is what I'm always going to pick. You have to make the best decision for yourself and your family. I only started doing that recently. I never did it to my kids when they were very little. I would have never let them suffer like that, even if it meant their illness was longer. I wouldn't be able to do that. They're too small. Not going to happen. If you're very old, your fever is very high, if your immune system's already weak, there's a lot of factors in there that you have to take in consideration. Do your research, do your homework, see what's best for you, and that's the decision you're going to want to go with. I hope you found this episode informative. Very excited to be back for season 4 and for generating more information for you guys. If you have specific topic requests, please send them over to me. You can reach me via email. I think there's a link in the description. You can reach me on Instagram, and you can reach me, I think, on Facebook still, as well as LinkedIn, which LinkedIn is probably the best spot to go to if you really want to reach me directly. It's great being back with you all. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.